Hello. So this word kind of popped up recently, and I decided that I would kind of go ahead and kind of discuss this word. And that word is steward, S-T-E-W-A-R-D. And many of you know what that word means, yes, and some of you maybe have not been as familiar with that. But when I first hear that word, steward, I think of like a stewardess, like on an airline. Or a male would be a steward and a female is a stewardess. Now they're a flight attendant. So, but the first way that I would use that when I hear that word is someone who serves. So a server. So serve person. Serve person. A server. A steward is someone who takes care of someone else. You can even do that for a maid, but a maid is really they cleaner. It's a cleaner. A maid is a cleaner. So a steward, in that sense, is really someone who serves. Now, there's other ways to use that word as well. So that could be like a supervisory, or it could be a responsibility. So you could say, I have stewardship. And that means you're managing. So this is to control or to manage, and it's your X hand shape, but you kind of hold on to it like you're holding on to reins of a horse and on a buggy. And that's actually how the word came about, was to manage. You could do control, but to manage someone's. You could be a good steward or a good manager of your own finances or someone else's. So you do it in place of. Or you could say, I do it for someone else. Or you could say that you take care of. Okay, hand shapes, to take care of. Or if you do supervise or supervisory, it goes around like this. Or you could say, supervisory. So you could go this way or this way. And I think that's depending upon your style or your accent. There's something on my screen, so I was kind of clearing it off. So you could say, oh, I have stewardship for my own health. I have stewardship over someone else's home, like a caretaker. So it's a responsibility as well. So you could use the sign for responsibility. I'm responsible for that company or that person. Maybe someone hired you. So I have responsibility for that person's budget or that person's finances, because budget can be used differently than finances. Like budget means you set it up, or finances just means that you pay the bills. So it could be used different ways, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, Eileen, I can't remember all those signs for the word steward. But just think about that word steward, which we don't use very often. We don't even use stewardess anymore, or steward, like on a ship line or an airplane. They use like an airline attendant. That would be like an airline. It's I love you, but it's our ship. It's our airplane, right? Because this is the wings and this is the nose, right? So this is our airplane. So you would say an airline assistant. But this is how I would normally use it, is a server. So a server, or you are managing yourself or someone else instead of, like in place of. Or you could say, I am managing for. So one hand shape, for. And then you could say that person, another person or company. Sometimes companies hire an individual. Like you could say like a personal shopper. You say, I am responsible for, doing this. You have that stewardship. So here we go again. A server, responsible for, manage or manager. Remember, this is our person, A supervisor, you could do supervisor or supervisor. I think I've seen it both ways, and I might have done it both ways too, or to supervise. But to supervise, that means you're kind of looking around, you're supervising, supervisor, the superintendent, right? So you have those 4 ways that you could say, I'm supervising, I'm the supervisor for, or a supervisor, or in place of, we have our F hand shape, and they start out, one is closer to you and one is a little bit further away from you, and then you flip it because they're in their stead, right? I'm a steward, I'm in their stead, I take care of their needs, I supervise their house expenses, or I take care of their home. That could mean like cleaning or paying bills, or like mowing the yard, taking care of, outside. So you can take care of, you can supervise, you can manage, or you can serve. So those are, 4 different ways, or you can say responsible. So that's 5. I'm responsible. So both hands, it's got that responsibility, whatever it is. Think of that. Now, if you were doing a burden, you would have more things. You could say a burden, or if you get a lot of burdens, right, it really weighs you down. But so this is responsible. So this is just a responsibility. Like, for example, your children would have responsibility of taking care of their own room. They are stewards of their own room. So just think about that word, and you may hear it and maybe never have noticed it, but think about the ways that you could sign it that would be accurate. So we have 5 different ways for one word, and I know some people get overwhelmed with that, but it's because they all mean a steward. But you might want to think about, if it's on a cruise ship or an airplane, they're a server because they bring you like food and drinks, right? But they also like take care of, because they may bring you a pillow or something that you need. So you could say take care of, or do they do service? And I think people don't like that because it looks like servant, but they are serving someone. So you could say take care of in that regard. If you wanted to think about many deaf people, they travel. And before, it would be like they fly somewhere. And now the big thing for many people are cruises. So we've got our ship, and it goes on the water. See how the ship goes down? It's in the water. You have a cruise. It's a rough cruise in the summertime. But this is a cruise. This is how the ship goes. So many hearing and deaf will be on a cruise ship. And sometimes they're completely like a deaf cruise. And you'll see many interpreters there, but or just maybe a partial, depends on the size of the ship, right? But so they can serve you, so servers instead of servant, and they could take care of. That's how I would use it in that sense. If it was you have stewardship over your room, you have the responsibility for your room. Or I am responsible, I take care of someone's home. I'm responsible for that. I take care of that. I supervise other servers. I have that stewardship of being a home manager. You see how you can use that in 5 different ways, but it's in a different context, right? Sometimes it's their job title. But you want to use it properly, or that it's clear. So I wouldn't say that you are a servant of your room, right? I would say that you're responsible for your room. Or I take care of their finances. Or I supervise their home while they're on vacation. Because it could be a gardener, it could be, security person, people coming in and out of the home that you are going to supervise. Do you see the difference? And still, you could use the word steward or steward. You have stewardship. So you are steward or you have stewardship. So I want you to play around with these words and listen to what people are saying, or on TV or whatever. And they may not say the word steward, but think about it. And if they do use that word, how are they using it? And it's the same thing as if they had said, oh, I'm in charge of blah, blah, blah. Okay, you can say I'm a manager of, I'm a manager for, I'm a manager in place of, or I represent. Ooh, here's a sixth way, right? Isn't this just so fun? And you're going, no, Eileen, it's too much. But to me, it's fun because you get to play around with the language and you're not stuck. And I think that's where, when I was growing up, K through 12, I was stuck with the English language because it had to be this way or this way or this way. And there may be many of you out there that are like that, that you feel this, you're stuck. You're going, if I don't do this right, then it's wrong, right? But in sign language, you have to have that subject correct, or that whatever you're talking about, because some people get confused with what the English subject is. But what's the topic that you're discussing? So the topic is what frees you. So you could say, I represent this security company, and so I need to come in and check and supervise that the work is done correctly. See, so there's 6. This is the number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9. Okay, so 6 different ways that you could use, or you could sign more accurately, the word steward. So, look it up in your dictionary and your thesaurus. I'm using a T for thesaurus because dictionary, thesaurus, the same. And see different ways how it's used, how you can use it, or how other people use it. And they may just go, they may not say steward or stewardship. They could say, I'm a representative of, representative for, I'm a representative, I'm not the owner of the company, but I work for them, right? So you can be in place of. So it's really just fun to play with. So go ahead and do that. And like I said, if you see that you're not seeing me clearly, let me know. But I think I have the lighting okay. I have the lamp behind me, as you can see, and the overhead lights are off. And before, the vent for the air conditioner was on, and it was and then we had like a fan, one of those little those little tall towers that has rotating, and it was kind of making it sound a little static noise. That's how you would do static. And if you can kind of figure out maybe a different way to do it that may be more clear, or you're thinking is more accurate, go ahead and let me know, because we can learn from everyone. So like I said, practice and play with it with your hearing and your deaf friends, and listen to the TV, listen to what other people are saying, and you can practice better. I'll see you later. Bye.